Good morning. This is not an official hearing with the EPC, so there will be no swearing in of anybody and no swearing at all. Let's keep that to a minimum. There won't be any sort of voting or anything happening. Everything that we're discussing today in today's training session is directly related to next Thursday's meeting, so I encourage everyone to pay attention. I don't think we need to get into the weeds too far about discussions of everything. If you need clarification, do please ask that now, because us understanding what's coming up for the meeting next Thursday will be very important. But I don't think we need to get into talking about the finer points of the presentation, because the actual presentation will take place next week, not this week. This is strictly informational purposes now. I prefer the other two commissioners were here. I don't know if Mr. Salas, if they had either one had contacted you saying they were going to be late or not present at all.
No, sir.
Oh, Ms. Renz Whitmore is joining. Welcome. Good morning.
Looks like she's connecting still.
Yeah.
Do we need to do an official kickoff to the meeting, Alfredo, and then pledge allegiance, or is that reserved for hearings?
I believe that's reserved for hearings.
Okay.
That was my understanding as well. This is not a public hearing, so I don't believe we need to do any of that. I think we can. This is an open meeting for anyone from the public to join as well. So I think this is strictly as it's been announced and portrayed to the public. It's a study session only. So with that note, looks like we have a couple other people who have joined, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if the other two commissioners are just late coming in.
Yeah.
Maybe
You text.
Yeah.
I'll send a couple texts.
Yeah, I hate to get too far down the path, but I also don't want to delay everybody. I mean, maybe we wait like one more minute here.
Okay.
And I appreciate Ms. Barkhurst or whoever put together the links in our email of getting straight to the sheet to follow along in the online in the zoning section. Will you be referencing each one of these? There's Commissioner Eister.
Good morning, Vice Chair.
Good morning. Good morning.
Nice to see you.
You too, sir. Thank you. So I don't want to, Ms. Barkhurst, I don't want to get too far into your presentation because you're just going to do your presentation, but I do, on your formatting, are we going to go through kind of what is listed in our email to us, where we go through citywide and then small area and each one of these, or are you going to, if you got a different format set up for us?
Yes, absolutely. We will start with the citywide proposed changes. We won't go line by line, but it'll hit most of the big points that we're proposing to change, and then after that we'll do small area. And I'll give a little bit more of an overview once we just get going.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Eister, before you got on, we had talked about, next week's the actual hearing. This is not a formal hearing, it's strictly a study session. So let's pay attention to what we got going on here, and let's ask clarification questions, but not get into the weeds of discussing what will be the actual case next week. We'll just, if we need clarification on things for us to be considering between now and next week, and then also hearing the case next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, let's get going. Thank you.
Hi, welcome. But before I get started with the presentation that I've prepared, I would like to turn it over to Ms. Morris. She's with Council Services and had a few comments to kick us off with. We've been collaborating closely with Council Services, and so I just wanted to start with that.
So good morning, thank you. So I just wanted to share a couple comments as some perspective for you as you embark on this next annual update. So starting off, I want to say an enormous thank you. This is a really important role that the Planning Commission takes in this initial review of the annual update each year. As council staff, I think I can speak for the councillors on this, in that we, as council staff and councillors, really value the EPC for their perspective that they share on all of the items and the forum that they provide for the discussion of the issues raised by everybody, whether it's staff or the public or different government agencies. So what you have from council this year in the form of the 2 memos, that reflects all the issues raised to the councillors up until the point that the application was submitted. So you've got kind of the packet of the things we've heard about so far. I will caveat that with, there are things that come up all the time from constituents, and so we do have stuff that comes up later down the road, but the ideal world is that things go through the Planning Commission and you guys think about them and ruminate on them and hear from the community about them, and then we have a record to work from when it gets to council. And so that kind of leads me to kind of back a step to how we use the 2019 record. So for the 2019 IDO annual update, post EPC, the councillors rely extremely heavily on the EPC record. Shana and I combed through all the comments that are received, the discussion that is had in the through the transcripts, and then also go through the findings and conditions and the staff report really thoroughly to make sure that the councillors are aware of all the matters that have been raised. And if there are any issues that are raised that they have a concern or an interest in, then those subsequent amendments are in response to that. And so, for example, in the 2019 annual update, and it was a quirky one because it was the first ever, it was a huge batch, and it was a long process. We had 35 amendments that came after EPC, and half of those were at least half of those were generated by the EPC process. And so while they came up after EPC, it was the EPC process that generated the things that the councillors then reacted to with all those amendments. And so I just wanted to emphasize and thank you guys for all your hard work, guys and gals, all your, well, no, I guess it's all guys. Sorry. All your hard work on this, and how much Shana and I are going to be relying on everything we hear from you and the community in the months ahead. So with that, I will hand it back over to Carrie.
Well, thank you, Ms. Morris, for that. And then you're right. I mean, that was very interesting, the last go around that we did. And although we didn't see, as part of this process, we don't see it after it leaves our discretionary commentary that we've done. But we did see the end result of it, which I'm hoping that this time, since it's so there's so much smaller, it'll be a little easier to follow. And that'll be something also that we're going to kind of add to our agenda for next week. Mr. Salas, I'll send you an email about some in this new world of 2021 and everything being virtual, about some the ability to follow up on some of these things a little bit better, and getting some updates from the city like we used to when we used to have our meetings. But that'll be part of our discussion in next week's meeting on how we can get some further information on that. But thank you. And so looking forward to the presentation. Let's get going.